And I too am looking forward to changes to the standing orders.
Not you alone, sir. Not you alone. I am looking forward to changes too, as I am quite sure many others are. And in this video, I'll be making suggestions as to the changes that I think is needed to control the behavior of these vulgar parliamentarians that we find in our parliament these days. Then I am going to be giving you a background as to how Nekeisha Burchell found herself in the parliament, as many of you must be wondering. And then I'm going to let you listen to the Nestor Morgan and his cutting remark about the miss. Lord, man, him do her real bad. And after that, we're going to close. Some of the changes that I would like to see should not just be about the speaker, but it should include other things that are probably not in the standing orders at the moment. The matter of contempt of parliament, the matter of expelling members, the matter of parliament controlling the conduct of its members, whether they're in the parliament or outside the parliament, and the criticism and ridiculing of the speaker outside of parliament. All of these things should be included in the new standing orders. You see, folks, the times are different now. And it is not the times that cause the difference, but the caliber of people who are in our parliament. People like Nekeisha Burchell would have never found themselves on a PMP ticket. Not in this lifetime nor the next. Not the PMP of old at all. Not the Portia Simpson PMP. Not Peter Phillips PMP. Not PJ PMP. Not Michael Manley PMP. And certainly not Norman Manley's PMP. She ended up on the PMP's ticket as a reward for her part that she played in bringing those risers to where they are in the party, an overthrow of the People's National Party. Not for the first time, The first time that such an overthrow was attempted was way back in 1952. And they tried again and they succeeded. The party is not what it was. It only is PMP in name. And so she was rewarded and she wanted a seat, so then give her a seat. A thing that the PMP would never do, and a candidate they would never put up to represent them, because them know she. Them know her conduct, them know her behavior, and them know how she managed to elevate herself in the party. Them know. We don't know. Them know. So she would not have been considered a candidate to put forward to represent the PMP in any election. My understanding is that she was Peter Bunting's personal assistant and a him bring her in at the PMP. And him wanted to be prime minister because him promised him father, me understand, on him deathbed that him going to be prime minister of Jamaica. And when him got into the PMP, sadly for him, he was never a popular man. When them poll him at 2 to 3%. He was neither popular in the PMP or outside. And he was determined to be leader by fear or foul means. And then him started to recruit all manner of people. So him couldn't get the good up PMP them. So him had to resort to recruiting the sexual deviants, them, the pedophiles, people with criminal background, people that the PMP would never put up to represent them. Him had to recruit them and promise them that if him win, then no positions will be there for them, whatever position them want, right? And then now you have other people who are good up PMP who wanted positions and them not going to get it. So then join with him too, because with him and for them victory, them will get what them want. And so them acted in secret, undermine the party, and make sure said lose the election. Even if it was when lose, they make damn sure said lose, so that them can take it over. And that was what they did. So like Ian Hills, Dayton Campbell, and Angela Brownberg, Nekeisha Burchell is a top-ranking riser. Anything where she want, she got, and she wanted a seat, and that's how she ended up in a South St. James. A young woman, highly unsuitable. And if anybody thinks she was highly suitable, look on her parliamentary behavior, and then we'll see that the PMP would have been right not to put her up to represent them. Yes. So now she finds herself in our parliament. She and some of the other risers them come in there with them bad behavior, which necessitate now the standing orders to be changed. in order to keep them under manners. The standing orders, of course, have rules to manage the proceedings in Parliament. It never really contemplate managing the behavior of parliamentarians. And that's because the system is actually modeled on the Westminster system in Great Britain. And that is a parliament that operate under the assumption that the people who are there, elected to be there, are honorable people. So you don't need the kinds of rules and laws to control their behavior like how you need rules and laws to control the behavior of people outside of Parliament. We the people. That now has changed. And now what we have in our Parliament is a problem that we now must amend the standing orders to correct. And as I said before, I believe that these corrections I'm proposing will go a far way to cauterize the clown show and the lack of probity that is going on in the Parliament. Our Parliament is a joke for Nekeisha Burchell and Angela Brown-Burke. At least Angela has behaved herself now. But Nekeisha Burchell will not stop because her motivation is to come to the Parliament and every week make sure that she's the star of the show no matter what was going on. And she don't care whether she's damaging the image of the Parliament. She don't care if she's damaging the PMP and may cause them votes in the next election. It's all about Nikisha. Oh, yes, she wants to be the star. And we're giving it to her, Yes, man, she wants to be the star and we're making her the star. Because if she believes that this kind of behavior is going to get her somewhere, it won't. People like people who are defiant, but not to authority. They like when you are defiant on their behalf. If you stand up and say something on their behalf, them love that. Them love when you say the things that they want to say. But when you're on a personal mission and you're defying authority, people don't like that. I like it at all. They don't like ill-mannered people. And they don't like people that defy authority. This is the reason why people in Jamaica don't like people them style as criminals. Don't like them at all. And anybody who act in the way in which criminals act, defy authority against the people's interest, them not will like it. So the PNP must be suffering. And when you hear some of the members get up and throwing some veiled shades in her direction, then you know say it bad. People confronting them on the street, young people, old people, all kind of people are asking what the hell are going on in a parliament. They don't like it, but she don't care. It's the limelight. It's all about Nikisha. And we are going to give it to her. Yes, ma'am. She is an attention seeker. She wants to be the center of attention. She wants to be the star of Parliament every week. And we are going to give it to her because we at Jamaica 411, we aim to please. And very soon, when it's too late and she can't recover anymore, she's going to realize that all that she's getting is publicity, negative publicity. But then again, maybe she don't care. Because maybe her reasons for coming to Parliament is not to serve the people in South St. James or to serve herself. That when them put her out of Parliament in the next election, she will have a platform on which she can thrive. And that is probably what this is all about. What we're going to give her the attention that she's seeking and make we see how far she thinks she can get with that. So I am recommending that the standing orders should be changed to include contempt of Parliament, and they should say what that was, because seek out rulings in other Parliament, even if they don't have the rules per se, seek it out, right? Expel the members. Right now, members can be suspended. You can't expel a member from our Parliament. You can suspend them for up to a year, right? That's the maximum. Expelling them don't mean that they will not be an MP. They will still remain an MP, but it's just that they can't put them foot in our Parliament to disrupt the order of our business. Every damn week is the same thing, right? Then now, a critical thing that I think should be added to the standing orders is the control of Parliament of the conduct of the members, whether them in the Parliament or outside. That happens in Jamaica Even with schools, there's certain schools you go to, you want to go to big school, and you go to them school and you behave a certain way outside of school, you're in a problem because you're carrying on the image of the school. And that is the idea with this particular rule. You want to maintain certain decorum of members when they're outside of the parliament because you can control them inside, but there's nothing to control their behavior outside. When them say misleading statements in the parliament, you have rules, but when them do it outside, there are no rules. You need to have the rules because they are affecting the image of the parliament, and this is part of the reason why people don't vote. You want to get the voters to come out, come vote, get the parliamentarians them to behave when them out on the street. They say anything misleading as long as them correct themselves out in the public and apologize or clarify what them said as it used to be in the past. No problem. If they don't even depend on the speaker and the other members then because we're afraid. We're afraid of backlash. Make it so that a complaint from a member of the public, one, giving you the evidence of which part they go talk things when I go so. Lie. Outright lie. Let them show you where it was them said so, when, and at what time. Let them show you the physical evidence and send it to the parliament in a complaint about the behavior of the member. And the standing order should oblige the speaker to bring the matter to the parliament, right? And then now UNO can set out the rules for what the member should do at that point. Maybe you ask them to apologize and clarify them statement, and then UNO decide what we're going to do after that. Whether the person should be referred to the privileges committee. It is the integrity of the parliament now that needs to be protected. And the parliament is a symbol of the democracy. It is the democracy. And it is created by the constitution. You go into the parliament and you defy the parliament, then that is an attack upon the democracy. It cannot be tolerated and it should not be tolerated. The matter now of criticizing the speaker, them can say anything they want about the speaker in the parliament. You have rules to control their behavior. But when them outside of the parliament, you need to ensure that what they're saying out there, even if they're criticizing the speaker, they should not do so in a way that lowers the office. So if them go out in public and ridicule the speaker like you saw Nekeisha Burchell did in that video with the mace, ridicule the speaker, ridicule the symbols of the parliament in our video, in a way to lower the office, no, that should not be tolerated and it should not be done. No way. They should be recommended to the privileges committee and you do your own thing. So these are my input in terms of parliament, and this is my explanation to you as to how Nekeisha Burchell find her way in a parliament.
And I too am looking forward to changes to the standing orders. Because what manifested today, led by the leader of opposition business, was a demonstration of why the standing orders need to be strengthened to ensure that your role as Speaker of the House is not compromised. The leader of opposition business stood in a period that did not allow him to stand and ask questions in the period. The Speaker asked the leader of opposition business to come towards her chair so she could ask what it is that you wish to speak about. He refused. His colleagues then proceeded to disrupt the functioning of the House with a chorus of desk beating. And I think the public should know what happened. So while the leader of opposition business can stand and proclaim himself righteous in his actions, the realities of what he did today do not manifest righteousness. Madam Speaker, more than you. Madam Speaker, you ruled many months ago as to how reports are going to be handled in the House. The leader of opposition business know about the ruling because this ruling was repeated on several occasions. But yet he stood here and put on record questions about the non-tabling of the report that he knows will not be tabled today. So this trend, there's this trend, Madam Speaker, where they get up and they pretend like they don't know. They misread the standing orders for the public record. They lower the House in the eyes of the public, which is why I'm standing here, Madam Speaker, supporting the reform of the standing orders. Because the simple rule that the Speaker must be heard in silence has never been accepted and agreed to by the opposition. When the Speaker is speaking, the opposition is trying to cow down the Speaker. And then, member from St. Mary, they come and stand up and claim that they are being abused and disrespected and not being heard, when they are the abusers. And the last thing I want to say on this matter, Madam Speaker, you have been, there is clearly a concerted and planned attempt to, one, compromise the government agenda in the House through disruption. I think there is a concerted and planned attempt to make you look like the villain at every sitting.
Yes, that is true.
Where when you issue a ruling, within 5 minutes of your ruling, there's a video out on social media criticizing your ruling, telling lies. I want, Madam Speaker, this standing order review to contemplate. He doesn't understand how the standing orders work or how debates work, He believes that he can talk and nobody responds. Madam Speaker, I want the standing order review to contemplate the actions that the opposition has been doing over the past several months that is disrespecting you and your office. Because, Madam Speaker, the undermining of the Parliament by them is not an undermining of us as individuals, it's an undermining of our democracy. And I am going to suggest to you, Madam Speaker, when you're up there and they're over there saying things off the mic, find a way to turn on the mic so the public can hear everything that they're saying sotto voce, so the public can know that you're not the person who is cantankerous and bothersome. Because some of the comments that they are making off mic, if their family and friends should hear the type of language and comments they are using in the House, they would be ashamed. So, Madam Speaker, I welcome the modifications to the standing orders. And I hope that it will ensure that going forward we have a more orderly House, a House that is more respectful, and a House that facilitates dialogue and the proper functioning of the Parliament. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
So after making these cutting remarks, the British tourists took it bad, got up to his feet, and rather than address the issue that was brought up by Nestor Morgan, he went off on a tangent to talk about what I would call a red herring, the tabling of the Integrity Commission report, which is just an annual report, nothing to do with any investigation, and yet he went on.
Opposition Leader, turn on your mic, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. This debate has been used to rehash in a very partisan way some of what happened earlier. What I would say is this. Over the many years, I've been in Parliament for about 20 years.
Opposition Leader and Leader of Government Business, I just have a moment because
what we're doing here, we're debating the motion and the standing orders.
Continue, Opposition Leader.
Yes. So what I was saying, Madam Speaker, is that this debate has been used to cast and recast the narrative of what took place earlier in a particularly jaundiced and very unfair way. The custom, I've been in the Parliament for 20 years, come September. 10 years in the Senate, 10 years in the House. when the leader of government business or the leader of the opposition business seek to speak on an issue, they are allowed to speak. At least they're allowed to be heard. At least they're allowed to be heard as to what the issue is they want to raise. They don't have to come and ask you behind the speaker's chair what it is to clear it in advance. Anything procedurally that they wish to raise, they're allowed to raise on any item on the agenda. So the failure to allow the leader of opposition business to speak on the point he wanted to raise, which was to question why the Integrity Commission's annual report hasn't been tabled today, that was most improper in our view. And that is what elicited the behavior that you saw in protest to the way in which he was being muzzled by not being allowed to ask his question.
But you're justifying the bad behavior, aren't you?
And we would like those conventions to be restored, because the House will run much better if due respect is paid to the leader of the opposition business and leader of government business as they play their respective roles. And what you did, and to the Speaker, what you did was you allowed the leader of government business to speak extensively on the matter as he saw it, and you didn't even allow the leader of opposition business to respond to what the leader of government business had to say. That is not in keeping with the traditions of this House. That was most improper as well. And as for the member from North Central, I think it is Clarendon, indicating that we're aware of some rule. All I'm aware of is that the Integrity Commission Act says that annual reports are to be tabled in Parliament. And as soon as they should, as soon as they can.
It says as soon as possible. And you're incorrect, leader of the opposition.
Why can't it be
you're
tabled?
Incorrect.
The Integrity Commission published its cover letter as it is practice.
You are incorrect.
So that the public knows.
Turn it off, Angela.
Yeah, it's true. So
I didn't press it, leader of opposition.
Oh, I'm
I was
glad to hear
actually
that, Madam
speaking
Speaker.
to someone
I'm very happy
else.
to hear that. I don't know who did, because I certainly didn't. Madam Speaker, the Integrity Commission Act requires their reports to be tabled. And you yourself issued a ruling, as you call it, some time ago, a couple of years ago, I think towards the end of 2023, if my memory serves me correctly, that they would be tabled as quickly as reasonably possible. The annual report came here, the cover letter was published, as is their practice, so that everybody knows that something has come, and we were expecting to see it tabled today, and it wasn't. And the leader of opposition business wanted to ask why, in announcements, it wasn't tabled in light of that fact. He was not allowed even to ask the question. And we object most strongly to the way in which the proceedings of this House are being conducted, because they're being conducted in what appears to be a very partisan way, a manipulative way when it comes to sensitive political issues.
Oh, I didn't know the Integrity Commission's annual report is a sensitive political issue. What is he saying? The man was so disturbed by what Nestor Morgan was saying, both for him side, that he jumped to his feet and he started to chat out what was in his mind. The man is saying that the annual report from the Integrity Commission is a sensitive political issue. Man, you know, say a slip is showing.
And the democracy, this is a democracy that thrives on open discussion, transparency, and debate. And here we have a minister, through his loud protestations, attempting to disrupt what I have to say. Yes, and I'd ask that you please desist and let me speak. If you want to speak on the matter, you can do so. Yes, thank you. So the point at the end of the day is this. In our view, these reports must be tabled as soon as possible after they come here. There's a strong public interest in that, because there's a strong public interest in the work of the Integrity Commission being facilitated to reduce corruption and other wrongs against the good governance of the country being perpetrated. And we on this side are going to always be assiduous about that. And when we attempt to do so and we're shut down, it's not a good look. It appears to be an attempt to use up the parliament in a way which is inimical to the interests of good governance and democracy. So, Madam Speaker, at the end of the day, I think we've rehashed this matter. If others want to speak, of course, it's their right.
The arrogance and idiocy of this man goes beyond belief. If others want to speak, of course, it's their right. Who the hell is he to be talking about what the people at the parliament free to do? Who is he? Him at the speaker? You see what the problem really is? Them can't get over the fact that them not government. And maybe I'm thinking my name is government. That him going to be talking about, well, if others want to, all you have to do is sit down and shut your mouth. Of course, if others want to speak, they're free to do so. You can imagine if this piece of crap was Prime Minister of this country. I don't know. Nobody tried to imagine. Well, him gave permission for others to speak because him think they're free to do so. And so the leader of government business jumped to his feet and had something to say in response to him.
I thank the members for their contribution, and I will say that based on the last contribution from the member from Eastern Portland, I am going to cauterize some of what I have to say in reply. But, Madam Speaker and members, as we move this motion to review the standing orders, and as members have said, this gives us an opportunity to reset, to look at areas where there may be gaps and to fill those areas, to look at conventions that should be elevated to standing orders and courtesies that should be elevated to standing orders. I remind the members that as we seek to do that, there are standing orders in place. And those standing orders govern this House. And as the member from East Portland rightly said, you do get the clear impression that a number of the members have not read the standing orders and as such act in a manner that is in direct opposition to the standing orders. And let me start on that point. The standing orders gives the Speaker the authority to rule on matters, all matters, in relation to this House. Once the Speaker makes a ruling, you may not like the ruling, you may think that the ruling is unfair or unreasonable, but the Speaker has ruled. And once the Speaker has ruled, then that ruling must be adhered to. Now, there are a multiplicity of opportunities outside of this House to make the point that you do not agree with the Speaker's ruling, to make the point that you think you're being unfairly treated. But to bang on the desk, to stand, to sing in the House, that is bringing the House into disrepute. And it is lowering our collective image in the eyes of the well-thinking members of the public. It should not happen. It should not be countenanced. Saying you want to be heard and you want justice and banging on the desk after the Speaker has ruled should never happen in this House. There are so many other avenues to make that point without disregarding the rules of the House. And again, we must be clear because the rules are clear. Standing Order 4, the Speaker shall preside over the meetings of the House, and the Speaker shall have the power to regulate the conduct of business in all matters not provided for in these standing orders. 41, the Speaker in the House is responsible for the observance of the rules of order in the House, and their decision upon any point of order shall not be open to appeal and shall not be reviewed by the House, except upon a substantive motion made after notice. The Speaker is to be heard in silence. The Speaker, after having called the attention of the House to the conduct of a member who persists in irrelevance or tedious repetition, may direct the member to discontinue his speech and resume his seat. I know we say we come into this house as adults. Yes, we do. We all come into this house as elected members of parliament. That is true. But the house has rules. And when we disregard the ruling of a speaker, we're not disregarding the ruling of Juliet Holness. We're disregarding the office of speaker. And it has to happen. And the member from South Trelawney said it. Regardless of any review that we do, the rules, we will have a set of rules. So those rules must be respected. The other thing that I find unfortunate is that when the speaker makes a point, it is then colored to suggest motive. And it was done today again. The speaker, not knowing what the member wanted to ask, not having any idea what the member wanted to intervene on, made a ruling that in keeping with the standing orders, there is no intervention on announcements. Yes, there may have been courtesies in the past. Yes, there may have been conventions in the past. But the Speaker has said it is not provided for in the rule book, and that is a fact. And as I read, once it is not provided for, the only authority is the Speaker. Now, once the Speaker says it will not happen today, it will not be countenanced, we move on. That's what we do as adults. We don't show to Jamaica that if it's not going in your favor, then you can oppose and object and try and throw off the house. That is not the right message that we're sending to children who watch this parliament. Outside of that, the leader of opposition did something that I did not like. He gave the impression that it is because of what the question was that the question was not allowed, when the Speaker had no clue what the question was. So the Speaker's ruling had nothing to do with the Integrity Commission report, nothing at all. And we must mash down any attempt to link the two matters.
And I left the leader of government business to tell you that. Phillip Paulwell stood to his feet and he wanted to say something. He never said what he wanted to say. At the time when he said he wanted to say something, the Speaker indicated to him that this was not the time. There's another point in which you can make your statement. And he refused to sit down. Nobody knew what it was that he wanted to say. And yet Mark Golding jumped to his feet and lied in at the Parliament that it was because Paulwell wanted to speak on the issue of the Integrity Commission's annual report not being tabled. That is why the opposition is being muzzled. And then he's going to make the fatal mistake of referring to the annual report, because that is what he was talking about. That was the subject. As a sensitive political issue, a tool for political exploitation. That is what the man was confessing to.
The Integrity Commission report, based on the Integrity Commission, who indicated that they send the report to the House yesterday. The Speaker has said in writing that once the reports come in, they will be tabled as soon as possible. I don't think anybody can think it unusual that we're here today and the report doesn't come and it only came yesterday. But more than that, that was not a part of the Speaker's consideration. And we must be very clear that we don't attempt to mislead, that we don't attempt to manipulate the story that is being told, and that we don't further try to ascribe motive and link unconnected things for our own political gain. It should not happen, and it does not help any of us. Finally, you know, the member from St. Catherine Southeast, maybe I shouldn't even countenance it with a response. But I just made the point again. We all decided to run for office. We all were elected. And we're elected to sit in this house. Once you come in here, you have to follow the rules. If you don't want to follow the rules, you resign your position. But once you come in this house, follow the rules of the house. You don't get up in this house and then say, civil disobedience. That is not the message. No matter how cool it may appear. Because we are disregarding the same laws that we are trying to enforce. That we are trying to build an orderly society. And all of us in here know better. And some of us pander to the public to try and get likes. And it does not help us. All of us could be doing other things. All of us on both sides of the house chose this path. And I genuinely believe that the vast majority of us chose this path for the right reason. Because we want to make a change in the lives of people. Let us, when we come into the house, let us lead by example. Let us respect and regard the speaker, the office of the speaker, but more importantly, respect and regard a member of parliament who has done tremendously well, who has been elected by us to sit as speaker, and who should not have to beg and plead for our respect. It should be given unto her because she deserves it. Madam Speaker, with that, I ask that the motion be accepted.
Thank you, House Leader. Are you calling for a divide? Those in favor? Those against? The ayes have it.
Well, folks, it is indeed a disgrace what's going on in the parliament. A disgrace indeed. So this is some of the excitement that went on in the parliament this week. You would have seen other excitements too, but I decided I want to bring you this one. And I would like you to tell me and tell Jamaica too what you think about what going on in parliament. Remember, the parliament's supposed to be about your business. But evidently some people in the parliament think it should be about a clown show and them are the head clown. Yes. Anyway, this is where I'm going to wrap it up. So let me thank you all for joining me. Please remember to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe, and share. Until next time, take very good care of yourselves and walk good.